Thank you, everybody, for joining us back here at Cytta Corporation's channel. We're sitting here once again with the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Gary Campbell. Gary and I are going to dive into Igan a little bit today. Gary, how are you doing? Are you ready to get into it on this holiday week?
I am ready to get into it and looking forward to really starting to develop the markets and the segments that we're looking to introduce the Igan into and what we've created.
Perfect. Yeah. So break it down for me, because as we had talked previously, we've talked about Igan and what it can potentially do, but it's got multiple segments and markets it could go into, correct?
Yes. And, Igan, a lot of people, when we talk about Igan, the Igan 1.0, which is really a very, very simple system. That system was simply moving video and audio from sources to multiple places where they could receive it. So it was pretty linear in its capabilities, and it was a game changer for first responders. They'd never had that capability before. They'd never had the ability for sharing it anywhere, literally anywhere on the planet. And so that was very, very well received, but it was also a hardware driven product. So they had to acquire our hardware. They had to carry it, whether it was a ruggedized laptop or in some cases a Pelican for certain remote locations. So that was well received, but we felt it was a limitation in the market. So what we wanted to do was take the programming that we were working with and using at that point and program a product to our specifications from one end to the other. So we developed the code, we developed a model for what we wanted to create, and we wanted to create something far, far bigger than what the Igan 1.0 was. We wanted to create something that literally was a social network in kind of the way, Facebook used to work. All of those capabilities that you think of when you used to think of an old-fashioned social network before they became social media.
Yeah.
So we worked to that model, and as you say, the ultimate product that we programmed does not only everything we wanted to do with first responders, moving the video and audio seamlessly, etc., but it also gives the capability to do effectively Zoom type calls with multiple people on the system. So it's programmed in such a way that everything that happens on the system is completely secure. Again, for the first responders, we had to make sure nobody could get into their video and audio capabilities. So our security levels here are really top of the line. So when we start talking about being able to do, conference calls, video conference calls and capabilities, that's also part of what we already do. When you have a group of first responders in an emergency, they're all up on the screen. You can see them. They interact with each other. So it's a very, very interactive system where all the parties can literally be brought up and be talking to each other. So from that point of view, when you're using our system and at whatever level you're using it, that everything you're saying and doing there is going to be held among the parties that you've invited to the system. There's no extraneous parties that can get involved.
Yeah, we've talked about that one quite a bit, and it does open up a lot of channels of communication for people where previously there was information bottlenecks. Could very much save a lot of lives in that regard. But you guys have also been working on other sides of Igan, correct?
Yes, we really have. And so, coming away from the purely first responder side where they're working among each other, in our installation in Ocean County, New Jersey, the Sheriff Mastronardi there literally challenged us to come up with a model that would allow him to protect the schools, the synagogues, and the private schools in his jurisdiction, of which there are a lot of them, and there have been various problems with that. So that got us creating what we call the school SOS model. And the school SOS model literally allows the introduction of our application into certain people's phones in the school environment. They have our app. along with our app. At the very, very simplest instance, they have an icon on their screen, or they can use a QR code. And in any type of emergency, any type of situation that arises, they can touch that icon or scan the QR code, tell the system will interrogate them and say, what level it is. They get to decide levels and various elements. And as soon as they hit that, the sheriff's Igan system, which is connected to theirs, will indicate that that problem has occurred in that school instantly. Mm-hmm. So literally faster than 911, anything like that. So now the sheriff, or whoever the responsible first responder, sometimes it's a police department, now knows that something is going on in that school in real time. Mm-hmm. And at the very simplest instance, now the sheriff's department or the police can communicate directly with that person. In other words, instant FaceTime with them and their computer or their cell phone. Also, they have audio, and if for some reason that phone deactivates, if they put that permission in, the first responders can activate the camera on the phone, activate the microphone on the phone, and see exactly what it sees. So you have instant situational awareness, and that's just simply with our very, very basic system that the sheriff can implement for every school there. And we offer that more or less think of it more as a fire alarm or an emergency situation that you don't have to do anything with. So at that level, probably the design of this is probably with the teachers and the administration doing that at the first instance. But then the next instance says, well, what if we as a school want to provide the same instance and allow all of our students to be on the same system? So at that level, we put what we call the small Igan capability into the school, which is networked directly to the Igan with the first responder. And then the administration or the school resource officer can monitor all of the information he gets from the students utilizing the same system. So now the students are reporting up to the school. Mm-hmm. And that creates some really, really interesting possibilities there. And those models are being widely accepted right now. Certainly the initial one, since we presented it to a group of counties, multiple counties with multiple sheriffs, and that discussion is reached beyond the preliminary levels. Now we're talking about a full implementation.
Yeah, Gary, when it comes down, and I was first responder for several years, and I will say in general, knowledge is power whenever you're going to a scene. Being able to eliminate a lot of the unknowns and knowing pretty much exactly what you're walking into can save a lot of time in a lot of these situations where every second is immensely valuable.
Yes, and your perspective on that is really what all of the law enforcement and first responders are saying. My God, if we actually had access into that building in real time, rather than people dialing 911, maybe being put on hold, maybe doing this, then communicating with a 911 operator, trying to explain to them what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is a very poor mechanism. And then from there, hopefully, it gets to the right department, of course, if it doesn't get cut off. So we really, with the capabilities of the Igan, are able to cut the corner and provide immediate situational awareness in any of those situations.
Yeah, I think it's a real game changer, and I would definitely see and like it to see implemented in more schools with this system. So I guess what's the next steps from here with this?
Well, we are waiting for the first group of school superintendents that are in discussions with the particular sheriff group to say they're good to go, and then we'll be installing. And installing for us, as I said before, this is completely a software-based solution, so software as a service. So literally, to install it in a sheriff's office, we spin up a server in the cloud for them, and literally give them passwords to get in there, and suddenly they have a full-blown IGAN that they're operating under with all of our levels of security attached to it. So it's very, very easy to get them up and running, and literally as part and parcel of that, we would deliver the app or the capability to the various people in the school that they wanted to have on the system, and literally all they have to do is put it in their phone or scan the QR code, and it's operational.
Perfect. Yeah, it definitely sounds like there's a lot of exciting things coming down the pipe here, Gary. So thank you for coming on and sharing them again. Is there anything else you want to talk about or add today?
Yes, basically, we get a lot of questions about Reticulate Micro and what's happening there, and I can say that things are going very well. We're waiting on various approvals on their side, regulatory, legal, etc. So all I can say is we're extremely happy with everything we hear. We're not directly involved in their side of the house. There's a Chinese wall kind of between our side and theirs. But, there will be news releases when they have the appropriate approvals to make them. And we're very excited about our super compression technology getting out into the world. I mean, literally from the Cytta side of the house, this is going to allow our proprietary code and technology related to compression to reach the world 2 years ahead of when our schedule is. So we're going to have two elements moving forward concurrently. And now that IGAN has been, reprogrammed up to the level that it's now a social network on its own, I can't pick which one I like best, but they're both astonishing. So I'm really excited.
Perfect. Well, Gary, thank you so much for coming on and giving some insight into what's been going on in the company lately. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Any other words from you, Gary, before we go?
No, I'd echo have a wonderful and safe and enjoyable Thanksgiving week as well.